Welcome everybody to another week of educational enrichment. My name is Chizan from Econos Education, and starting from this week, we'll be starting a series on the topic of emotional intelligence. I'll be talking about what does emotional intelligence entail to, what are the high or low emotional intelligence behaviors, and what are some ways for us to improve our emotional intelligence skills. Speaking of emotional intelligence, the definition of emotional intelligence is basically the capacity to be aware of and also to control one's emotions. Also, it's the ability to handle interpersonal relationship judiciously and empathetically. And not only deal with other people, but also deal with ourselves. The four big areas of emotional intelligence are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. This week, we'll be talking about self-awareness. So speaking of self-awareness is basically the ability to recognize one's emotions quickly and accurately. As humans, we all have emotions such as happiness, excitement, sometimes sadness or depression sometimes. Having a high self-awareness is basically having the acute sense to recognize your own emotions. I can give you my own example in terms of self-awareness when I was given one of the biggest projects that I've ever worked on. I had high hopes for this project and I expect myself to do a lot. Therefore, I worked really hard, expecting myself to get a really great result for this project. However, the outcome just turned out to be exact opposite from what I expected. At that time, I was very disappointed, very sad, and I start to doubt my own ability to do things. In that case, a high emotional intelligence or a high self-awareness behavior will be to quickly recognize the nature of the business and also quickly recognize my own emotions and therefore quickly move on to find the right solutions for the problem. If the problem is closed, then that means to take it as a positive experience so that I don't make the same mistakes again. That is an example of a high self-awareness behavior. So what are some ways for us to improve or to raise our self-awareness? There are three ways. First, know your buttons. We all have things that make us anxious or angry or make us going through all sorts of emotion peaks. We all have buttons, and a lot of times all our buttons are a result of unpleasant experiences from the past, and just knowing all those buttons, knowing how they're pushed can really help us to recognize our own emotions and ultimately help us to raise our self-awareness. Second method is check your values. We are here, we are where we are today because our own self-beliefs and because of our own principles. And at a difficult situation, check our values or principle can really help us to look at the bigger picture as opposed to dwelling in the short-term outcome. And ultimately can help us to raise our own self-awareness. The third strategy to raise self-awareness is have a friend or a buddy system. A lot of times we do things that we don't really mean to, and have that friend or colleague even to check our email before we send it out, or to check our actions before we decide to do something can really help us to recognize what's driven us to do that thing and ultimately help us to raise our self-awareness. So that is the self-awareness for the topic for this week. And self-awareness is basically the ability to recognize one's emotions quickly. And we talked about what are the low or high self-awareness behaviors, and the three ways to improve our self-awareness are know our buttons, check our values, and also have a buddy system to check on us before we decide to do something. I really hope that you enjoyed the first week of our series of emotional intelligence. Hope you guys have a great day and a great week. Thank you.